The income loss to North Carolina's economy is staggering. The North Carolina factory worker makes $1.26 per hour less than the national average. This means that our workers earn $50.40 less per week to provide for their families, while the cost of living is above the national average in many areas. Annually, North Carolina workers make $2,620.80 less than the national average. The income loss to North Carolina's economy is staggering. The North Carolina factory worker makes $1.26 per hour less than the national average. This means that our workers earn $50.40 less per week to provide for their families, while the cost of living is above the national average in many areas. Annually, North Carolina workers make $2,620.80 less than the national average. A shocking revelation.
Workers in America and in North Carolina have won the fight over the years for the right to organize and bargain collectively. With the right of union representation established, workers have bargained successfully for better hours, wages, and working conditions, and have won contracts which have assured security for themselves and for their families. The Congress and state legislatures pass laws which regulate bargaining between employers and unions. In 1947, a Republican Congress passed the infamous Taft-Hartley Act over President Truman's veto. That provided that states could pass laws outlawing union security. The Taft-Hartley Act also permitted companies the right to campaign against union organization. Also in 1947, a young congressman from California who announced that his mission was to destroy unions supported Taft-Hartley. Noteworthy was his debate on the floor of Congress in support of Taft-Hartley, in opposition to a young congressman from Massachusetts. Both men subsequently became President of the United States. The Taft-Hartley law allowed states to pass open shop laws, which provided that regardless of the vote of the majority of the workers in the plant, a worker could not be required to join a union. Yet, the union is required to provide services for all employees, whether union members or not. Compulsory open shop laws benefit management and keep wages down in all areas of employment. No matter where you may work in North Carolina, you may be sure that your wages are less and your responsibilities are more because of open shop laws. The housewife has no security in her home, no security for her children when the breadwinner is denied union security. Under compulsory open shop laws, all segments of the community suffer. Not only industrial management and industrial workers, but the small businessman, and the small farmer. The big boys of industry sold the idea of open shop laws to congressmen such as Richard M. Nixon on the basis that open shop was a cure-all for the economy, and that by keeping wages low, you could keep inflation down and profits up. When all you're actually doing is depriving a worker of decent wages and a decent home. The only thing that open shop laws guarantee is a free ride for non-union members at the expense of union workers. Leading clergymen throughout the United States have called the open shop laws unreasonable and detrimental to the community. A look at per capita income in states which have passed open shop laws clearly points out that open shop laws hurt the economy of those states. North Dakota passed an open shop law in 1947. At that time, the average per capita income in North Dakota was $130 above the national average. After 23 years under the open shop law, the average per capita income was $926 below the national average. In Arkansas, open shop laws were passed in 1948. At that time, per capita income in Arkansas was $555 below the national average. In 1970, it had plunged to $1,130 below the national average. In Alabama, per capita income went from $680 below the national average to well over $1,000 below the national average. Workers in South Dakota earned more than the national average in 1948, but under the open shop law in 1970, they were $756 below the national average. The same situation is true in state after state where open shop laws have been enacted. Fortunately, the overwhelming majority of the states saw the injustice of compulsory open shop and have refrained from passing such statutes. However, this was not the case in our own state of North Carolina, where the per capita income has slipped steadily since the passage of the open shop law in 1948. Hourly wages in North Carolina by 1970 had plunged to the lowest in the nation, and the per capita income ranks near the bottom in comparison with all other states. Wayne Gray, the Carolinas director of the Communication Workers of America, recently pointed out the latest figures concerning industrial wages in North Carolina.
The income loss to North Carolina's economy is staggering. The North Carolina factory worker makes $1.26 per hour less than the national average. This means that our workers earn $50.40 less per week to provide for their families, while the cost of living is above the national average in many areas. Annually, North Carolina workers make $2,620.80 less than the national average.
At $1.26 per hour, North Carolina workers lose nearly $5 billion per year compared to the national average. R. Ben Porch, Regional Vice President of the Communication Workers of America, recently pointed out that a telephone operator in North Carolina earns 58 cents less per hour than a lady doing the same job for the same company in San Francisco, California. This means she is paid $23.50 less per week for her services, or $1,204 less per year. The same difference can be pointed out in other jobs and other industries. Wilbur Hobby, president of the North Carolina State AFL-CIO, points out the unfairness to union members of the open shop laws.
It's easy to see the unfairness to union workers in North Carolina under the present open shop laws. The local union under open shop laws must represent every worker in the plant, whether he pays dues or not. If the local union budget requires $7,500 per month to represent all workers in a given plant, and only 75% of the workers contribute dues, then each union member must pay $10 per month dues. On the other hand, with agency shop, each worker receiving benefits from the union would be required to pay for those benefits. The dues would only be $7.50 per member per month. Only with an agency shop can we have fairness for all workers in North Carolina.
Under the proposed agency shop legislation, workers would not be required to join a union. However, all workers who receive benefits would be required to pay their fair share. In order to pass agency shop legislation, all AFL-CIO unions must work together in a planned program for victory. First, a thorough education program should be conducted in every local union. Second, a thorough registration program to register all union members to vote should be initiated in every local union. Third, legislative action is needed at all levels in order to ensure the success of the agency shop campaign. Senators and representatives must be elected to the State House in Raleigh who will stand up for workers' rights and support agency shop legislation. A united labor vote in 1972 could represent the margin to victory for the labor movement. Fourth, local unions should adopt programs to support AFL-CIO candidates. They should attend and participate in the selection of candidates at the COPE convention at the local, regional, and state levels. Any program of success requires funds for operation. Local unions should be willing to contribute financially in order to get the job done. A program of public relations, both internal and external, must be carried out in order to let the members and the public know what is happening. Cooperation and support from other organizations is absolutely necessary. A coalition of non-union leaders within the community, as well as support from non-union workers, is a most important part of the overall program. Finally, coordination of local activities and joint projects at various locals is needed in order to put the agency shop program on the track of victory in the near future. Such an overall program, given enthusiastic support by the officers and rank-and-file members of the union, can help bring a better standard of living to the working people of North Carolina.